Hi guys, my name is Trinh and today I'm here to talk about the BANE Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, and Maureen Johnson. So this book is a very special book about Mr. Magnus Bane. This novel contains 11 short stories about Magnus Bane. If you love Magnus Bane, then of course you have to read this book because this book is literally about him and his life and his friends and his relationships and everything. But I do think that you don't need to read all of the short stories because 11 is a lot. There are 6 short stories that I think everyone needs to read in this book. So the first one is Vampires, Scones, and Edmund Herondale. The second one is The Midnight Heir. The third one is Saving Raphael, Santiago. The fourth one is What to Buy the Shadowhunter Who Has Everything and Who You're Not Officially Dating Anyway. The fifth one is The Last Stand of the New York Institute. And then the last one is The Course of True Love and First Dates. Those are the 6 short stories that everyone needs to read from this book because I swear to you, it's really good. I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. Basically, I rated all of the short stories and by the end I found the average and turns out the average is 4 out of 5 stars. So see, I know how to do math. My favorite short story is The Last Stand of the New York Institute. I think that is definitely the best one. It's the one where I am emotional the most. It's the one that I really get excited to read, but then also really sad. It's so good. This short story is worth it, and I mean it. It's definitely worth the read. So for this video, basically, I'm going to talk about each short story, but I'm not going to talk too much about it just because there are some that I really don't care about. So I will put the timestamps in the description box below. Oh my god, I might regret this, but I will put the timestamp for all 11 short stories so you can skip around and see like which one you like the most and click on it, and then I will talk about that certain short story. Okay, so that is it for the review. Leave if you have not read the book, stay if you have, or stay if you have like read a few short stories. Like I said, I will put the timestamps in the description box below. What really happened in Peru? So this short story really focuses on Magnus' friendship with Raphael and Katerina Loss. The more we see Raphael, the more sad I get when he dies in City of Glass, because in the 3rd book of TMI he passed away and he got murdered basically, and it was really upsetting. I mean, like back then you don't really know about him, but in this book you can see that he is like a really important person in Magnus' life. When he died, I bet Magnus was really heartbroken. So for Katerina and Ragnar, they had a pretty decent childhood. Like they said that they had parents who loved them, but for Magnus it's a completely different story. His mom actually committed suicide, mostly because of him, because Magnus is a warlock and he has that demon mark, the eyes. Now the most disappointing part about this short story is that we don't really know why wait a minute. We don't really know why Magnus was banned from Peru, because we were told like a few times here and there that Magnus was banned from Peru, but then when we read this short story, there's no clear explanation. They literally just said it's a mystery, we don't really know why, and that to me is so disappointing because like how the hell are you gonna write this long ass, well it's not that long, this short story, and then at the end you're like, it's actually a mystery on why he got banned. So for this short story I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. The next one is The Runaway Queen, and this takes place in Paris in 1791. So this is during the French Revolution. The queen is Marie Antoinette, and then a man named Axel asked Magnus to help the royal family, and Magnus was like, hell yeah, because you're attracted. So Magnus glamours the queen, and then she gets caught by vampires, but then they escape from the party by using a hot air balloon, and then at the end these 2 really innocent people got killed, and that was really upsetting even though we don't really know who they are. And then the king and queen are imprisoned in Paris, and that's basically it. So I was just so unimpressed with this short story, so I think for this one you can totally skip. So for The Runaway Queen I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. So for Vampires, Scones, and Edmund Herondale, this one is like too much, honestly. So for this short story, the Shadowhunters and the Downwarders meet at the London Institute. Camille, De Quincey, Ralph, and Magnus are there, and then we get to see young Charlotte. That was really awesome. We finally get to see Granville Fairchild, because he was a pretty like, I don't know, repeated character in TID. I forgot the acronym. And then also Magnus meets Edmund Herondale. So he is Will Herondale's father, and it's really interesting to see him as a young Shadowhunter. So of course the Starkweathers are still nasty. They're still really fucked up with this whole downward things, because they hate downwarders. Shadowhunters still treat downwarders like complete and utter shit, and it's just so upsetting to see. Then also they're trying to work on the Accords. So the Accords is this like peace treaty between the Shadowhunters and the downwarders. We learned that Edmund lost his parents and then he was brought up in the London Institute, which is interesting because Will, if you remember Will, he ran away from his home and then he was raised in the London Institute. The thing that shocks me the most, well, one of the things that shocked me the most in this short story is that Edmund knows about Benedict and his like demon lady. So if you don't know, in the Infernal Devices, Benedict was like having sex with demon women, and that's just really wrong. And Edmund knows about it because he briefly mentioned it, and I'm just like, oh my god. So someone knows, like someone actually knows. Like in the Infernal Devices, Will was like the only one who is like really confident about the demon pox, but here his dad mentioned it. So like, oh my god, that's just crazy to me. So Magnus and Edmund meet Lynette Owens. So she's feisty, she's like the heiress of an estate. Edmund is attracted to her, and then they get engaged within like a few days, I like to say, because like it happened so quickly. But then we also see him being conflicted between, you know, being a shadow hunter, but then also giving it up to be with his like fiance, I guess, because we were told in the Infernal Devices that he basically gave up being a shadow hunter to be with his wife, and that actually happened. We don't see him, but we hear him screaming because he's like being stripped away from that magic shit. I don't even know. Basically, his marks are being stripped away, and he was screaming because it's painful. And I have to say, the Shadowhunters are really horrible in some way. Like we see it multiple times in this like freaking chronicle, basically in like the Shadowhunter Chronicles. What the hell just happened? I felt so bad for Ralph Scott. So he's like the only werewolf in this short story. I get even sadder when I know that he's gonna be killed by De Quincey because he has like a love affair with Camille, and De Quincey was like, no. So De Quincey will kill Ralph Scott, and that's gonna be really upsetting. Magnus gives Camille a chance to be with Ralph Scott, and then he leaves for London. And to me, I don't know, that was kind of like a nice thing to do, because like I know Magnus loves Camille, I know that, and yet he decides to be like, you know what, you can be with this werewolf because he's gonna die soon and we live forever, so you know, be with him, make him happy. So overall, I give this short story 5 out of 5 stars. It's just so great to see a Herondale again, even though it's not my favorite, you know. Edmund is not my favorite Herondale. So the next story is the Midnight Heir. So Magnus goes back to London because he has business with Tatiana Blackthorne. So this takes place after the Infernal Devices, and I was just so happy to see so many amazing characters again. Of course, Magnus meets James Herondale, who is the son of Tessa and Will. So James can turn into a shadow, which is an ability that I feel like I have never heard of, because if you don't know, Tessa is like, you know, half demon, and like her dad is like a pretty powerful demon. It's so amazing to see Tessa and Will and brother Zachariah. The trio still love each other. They genuinely love each other, and it's just so nice to see that again and again and again. Anyway, James is really depressed and everyone is worried about him. It's really nice and kind of sad when Magnus offers Tessa help when Will dies. It's really heartbreaking because we know that it's gonna come soon. Like Will die. Like the people around Tessa will die. She will live forever, and it's just really heartbreaking, and I'm not gonna cry, no way. Tatiana is still a brat. She's still annoying. And Grace is the adopted daughter of Tatiana. So it turns out James Herondale fell in love with Grace. She's very beautiful, but she's also kind of evil, so I guess she broke his heart really badly, and now he's very depressed. So Tatiana hates Shadowhunters. She really hates them for a lot of reasons, and I do feel bad for her because her son died and her husband died and a lot of shit happened to her. But at the same time, when she asked Magnus to bring her son back from the dead and also to kill 5 Shadowhunters and stuff like that, that's not a good idea, you know, because that's dark magic and that's not okay. And I'm so glad, what the fuck? And I'm so glad Magnus said no. He's like, nah, no, that's not gonna happen. So he left London, thank God. So for this short story, it's a 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoy it because, you know, it's so nice to see the trio again. So the next short story is The Rise of the Hotel Dumort. So this takes place in the 1920s, the late 1920s in New York. So Magnus runs a speakeasy and he meets a vampire named Dolly, and then she tells him to get out of New York. So this is around the time when the world, or like New York, was like at its worst, basically. basically. So, you know, everyone's like bankrupt, people commit suicide, it's like really horrible. And of course, Dali was being sent by Camille, so of course Camille is back in some way, so that's really annoying. We also meet a new warlock named Aldous Nix, I believe. So he's the High Warlock of Manhattan. He is 2,000 years old. That's crazy. I've never met a warlock who's that damn old. So this scene at the end, I was just straight up confused because I'm like, why does this need to happen? So Magnus and the Shadowhunters go to Hotel Dumont. So I think back then it was still Hotel Dumont because eventually it changed into Hotel Dumort. There's a pile of dead bodies in the hotel, and then it turns out this damn warlock wants to go, what, to the void? This dumbass Shadowhunter killed Aldous, and then his blood is spilled, and then shit happened, and then Magnus was like, yeah, we're fucked. But eventually Magnus fixed everything. I don't even know what he closed the portal. This really powerful portal. He closed it, thank God, and then, is that it? Yeah, that's about it. So for this short story, I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It was interesting, but like, it's not my favorite. The next one is Saving Raphael Santiago. So this one, I find it very important just because this was mentioned in City of Heavenly Fires. It was mentioned that Magnus saved Raphael's life, and you know, we finally get the story for that. So Raphael's mom asked Magnus to save her son, and then turns out this like really old vampire, Louis Karnstein. How do you say his name? Louis Karnstein, I believe. So he's a guest and he's been killing children, and then I guess he turned Raphael into a vampire, but Raphael killed him immediately. So that was shocking. And Magnus saves Raphael from going into the sunlight because once you're a vampire and then you go to the sunlight, you're dead immediately. So Magnus and Raphael live together, and then this part, it's been mentioned quite a few times in this short story that the Silent Brothers helped Magnus when he first realized that he's a warlock. Like, I wish we really go in depth with that, because how the hell are you gonna drop it and be like, yeah, we're not getting a short story about that. I want a short story about Magnus and his very early life, like when he was a child, when he first learned that he's a warlock. Like, I want to know what happened. So Raphael is training himself to say God's name and also holding the cross. He's trying to, you know, train himself to be, I don't know, Christian in a way while he's like a vampire, which is painful, very painful. And then finally Raphael is reunited with his mom, so you know, I'm really happy that we have like a decent, nice ending to this short story. But then also we meet a new character named Edda. So she is like Magnus' lover in this short story, and you can tell that she has a huge impact on Magnus because he loved her, like he genuinely loved her. She loved him, but then eventually she left him because she wanted a family, and of course you can't have that with a warlock, which is really sad. And then also we get multiple mentions that like she gets old and then she forgets about him and then she dies, and it's like really depressing. I feel really bad for Magnus. So for this short story, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really, really good. The next one is The Fall of Hotel Dumort. So this one was also really good. I was taken by surprise. Even though I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, I did not really recommend it in the review section just because I still think you can skip this one and it'll be fine. But I love this short story more than I thought. So vampires are feeding like crazy. Turns out that when a vampire feeds a human that has done drugs, it's like you're being on like heaven, basically, I guess, because that's what happened in this short story. So Magnus helps Camille a lot in this short story. After I finished this short story, I finally realized that Magnus truly loves her. Like, he truly loves Camille. Like, he was really heartbroken in TID, you know, when she broke up with him. And then also at the end, Katerina, you know, erases memory. Damn, it was just like really heartbreaking in so many ways. I was really emotional because he loved her. He really loved her, and she didn't love him the same way at all. So I guess it was like really painful for him to see her like this, you know, being crazy and uncontrollable. So for this short story, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. What to buy the Shadowhunter who has everything and who you're not officially dating anyway. So this one is about Alec. It's about Malik. So Magnus is dating Alec, and I guess things are going pretty serious, but like Magnus doesn't really know. He's still hesitant. So it's Alec's birthday and Magnus does not know what to give him. So Magnus summons this demon named Elias. I don't even know. This demon is really funny. Like, I really like this demon until like the end when he straight up dragged Magnus about being immortal and shit. Like, damn. But then also we see Isabel. So Isabel and Magnus, they're having a conversation, and then it turns out Isabel knows about, you know, Magnus and Alec together, and she's like completely fine with their relationship. At the end, Magnus and Alec kiss, and it's just really great and wonderful, and yeah, there's not much to say. The next one is my favorite short story in this book. It's called The Last Stand of the New York Institute. I love this shit so much. Oh my god, there's a fly. So downwarders are being killed almost everywhere. So it turns out this is when the Circle happened. So if you don't know, the Circle is like this group that Valentine Morgenstern, you know, created back in the day. It was just horrible, honestly. I hate Valentine so much. This short story stressed me out. So a young werewolf asks Magnus for help because his family is being, you know, like kidnapped by the Circle, and shit happens. So we get to see a lot of old characters. We get to see the Lightwoods, you know, when they were really young. We get to see Luke. We get to see Stephen Herondale. And Luke needs to shut the fuck up, man. Like, even though I love Luke in TMI, but in this short story, he needed to shut up. Seriously. So the Whitelaws show up. So they run the New York Institute, and this fight was crazy just because the people from the Circle actually killed the Shadowhunters. Like, they actually killed the Whitelaws. Robert killed Rachel Whitelaw. Valentine made a werewolf girl blind. He also killed like the woman from the Whitelaw family. So everyone is dead. The Whitelaws are literally dead. The Circle had the nerve to blame on the werewolves. It was just so bad. But then of course the uprising happens, and then things start turning a little bit good, just like a little bit, but it's just so awful. And oh my god, Magnus almost died. I was about to have a heart attack. And then of course we fast forward. So Magnus is with Tessa in New York. So we get to see Tessa, which is awesome. And then Jocelyn. So this is when the whole Jocelyn and Clary thing show up. Show up? Come up. I don't even know. So Jocelyn asks Magnus for help. And Tessa straight up dragged Jocelyn about this whole Circle thing. Like, oh my god, it was like the scene that I've always wanted. Just because the Herondale line is over, or like back then it was supposedly over, you know, but back then we really thought that Stephen Herondale was like the last Herondale, and then he died without, you know, giving birth to like a son or a daughter or anyone basically. So I felt so bad for her. So Clary, she's a cute baby. So this is back when she's like a tiny toddler, and then Magnus and Tessa, you know, decide to help Jocelyn and Clary, and then this is when they become the Freys, I guess, like Jocelyn Frey and then Clary Frey. So this short story is like a 5 out of 5 stars. I love this so much. The second to last one is called The Course of True Love and First Date. So this is about Magnus and Alec's first date together. So of course it's really awkward, and you know, Alec is nervous. Magnus is like, damn it, like, is this gonna be really bad? And then of course during the date there is a real emergency. So a werewolf turned, and like she's out of control. So Magnus and Alec help the girl calm down, and then Marcy and Adrian, they're dating, they kiss, so it was really sweet. And then Magnus and Alec kiss, and it was also sweet. And then of course the last sentence is like basically Magnus hoping that Alec won't break his heart. And of course that was really sad to read, because literally the next short story is from like City of Lasso, or like after City of Lasso when they broke up. So that was really disappointing. So this short story is like a 5 out of 5 stars, definitely. It was really good, really adorable. The last one, finally, my voice is going away. The last one is the voicemail of Magnus Bane. So this is after City of Lost Soul and before City of Heavenly Fire. So this is after the Malik breakup. It's just basically a bunch of characters calling Magnus Bane, and we get to hear the voicemails. So with this, it's nothing special, honestly, mostly because I was not impressed. Like, comparing this to like the other short stories, of course it's not that good just because it's not full, it's just in voicemails, I guess. So with this, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Like I said, nothing special happened, but at the same time I was really glad that we're over, because this book is big, okay? So that is it for the BANE Chronicles by these 3 authors, and my throat hurts so much. It's been really fun rereading this book, because last time I read this book was like back in 2015, I believe. So I cannot wait to continue with the Shadowhunter Chronicles. The next one is Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. So very excited, but at the same time, the fact that I had to read more short stories really kills me, honestly, but it's fine. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye!